Needing nothing attracts everything. This statement may seem paradoxical, even impossible to some. How can we attract abundance when we have no desires? How can we receive when we are not seeking? Yet, this paradox is at the very heart of spiritual wisdom. It is found in the teachings of sages, mystics, and philosophers throughout time. An ancient truth that tells us in letting go of our cravings, we create the space for abundance to flow into our lives. Imagine, if you will, a still lake. The surface is calm, unruffled. What you see on the surface is a perfect reflection of the sky above, an image of peace, harmony, and unity. The stillness of the water mirrors the stillness of the mind. It is in this stillness, in this emptiness, that we open ourselves to the fullness of life. This video invites you to explore this idea through stories, ancient wisdom, and deep reflection. We will dive into the teachings of Lao Tzu, who said, "If you want to become full, let yourself be empty. If you want to be given everything, give everything up." These words echo a power that transcends time, a power that invites us into surrender. When we release our attachment to what we think we need, we make room for the universe to bring us all that we truly seek. So, take a deep breath and allow yourself to relax. Open your heart and mind as we journey together into this mystical understanding. Why by needing nothing, we attract everything. Let us step into a story. Imagine for a moment a traveler journeying across a vast desert. The sun is relentless, beating down on the earth with a fierce intensity. The traveler, exhausted and dehydrated, is desperately seeking an oasis, a place of water, shade, and relief. The heat rises from the sand, shimmering in the distance like a mirage as the traveler trudges forward step by step, their eyes fixed on the horizon. With every step, they tell themselves, "I just need to make it a little further. Just beyond that dune, I will find what I'm looking for. I'll find the water, the peace, the relief." The traveler's thirst grows with each passing hour, and the need for water becomes all-consuming. Each step feels heavier than the last, and the desperation begins to take hold. Just a little farther, they think, as the mirage of the oasis dances in the distance, always out of reach. But no matter how far they go, no matter how much they push forward, the oasis seems to slip further away, just out of grasp. This is how it feels when we chase after something we think we need, isn't it? When we are consumed by desire, by the belief that our happiness or fulfillment lies just beyond our reach, we often find ourselves running in circles, forever distant from the peace we seek. Our minds become consumed by the pursuit, and in our chase, we fail to notice the subtle ways in which the universe is already offering us what we need. But what if, instead of continuing to chase the mirage, the traveler decided to stop? What if, for just a moment, they set down their burdens, let go of the desperation, and simply sat down in the shade of a dune, resting their body and mind? What if they stopped running and allowed themselves to be still? What happens when we let go of the need to chase? When we simply release our grasp on what we think we need? As the traveler sits exhausted and still, something profound begins to happen. Instead of feeling the weight of their thirst, they begin to feel the coolness of the desert wind brushing against their skin. They become aware of the silence around them, a silence that had been drowned out by their frantic search. And in that stillness, something remarkable happens. The oasis, once a distant illusion, now appears right before them, as if it had always been there, waiting for them to stop and notice it. The water begins to flow gently toward them, as though the very act of surrendering had drawn the life-giving flow to their feet. In that moment, the traveler understands that it wasn't the pursuit that brought them what they needed, but the release of the need itself. The struggle, the chase, the frantic desire, it had all been unnecessary. By letting go, by surrendering, The oasis appeared effortlessly, as if it had always been there, waiting patiently for them to stop running. Rumi, the great Sufi mystic, captures this truth beautifully when he says, "When I run after what I think I want, my days are a furnace of distress and anxiety. If I sit in my own place of patience, what I need flows to me, and without any pain." These words are a powerful reminder that it is in our patience, in our willingness to be still, that the world begins to unfold for us. The traveler learned this truth by needing nothing. They allowed everything to come to them. In their stillness, in their release, they found the very thing they sought. Now that we've witnessed the traveler's journey, it's important to understand why this act of surrender, of letting go, is so powerful. Throughout history, great spiritual teachings have emphasized the need to release attachment in order to find peace and abundance. But what does it truly mean to surrender? And why is non-attachment so central to spiritual wisdom? At its core, surrender is not about passivity or resignation. It's not about giving up in the face of struggle. Rather, surrender is about releasing our desire for control, letting go of our need to manipulate and force outcomes. When we hold on tightly to what we think we need, we are like clenched fists, unable to receive anything new. But when we open our hands, we create space for life to flow through us. We let go of the idea that we must have things a certain way, and we invite the universe to fill us with what we truly require. Think about the times in your life when you've struggled against the current. Perhaps you've tried to force a relationship to work, or pushed yourself endlessly toward a goal, believing that if you just tried harder, you would achieve what you wanted. In those moments, you were chasing something that was perhaps never meant to be. The struggle itself became the barrier to your success. But when you let go, when you surrendered to the flow of life, did you notice how much easier things became? This is the wisdom of non-attachment. In Buddhism, it is said that attachment is the root of suffering. When we attach ourselves to outcomes, to people, to material possessions, we create a sense of scarcity within ourselves. We feel incomplete, as though something is missing. And in that feeling of lack, we chase endlessly for fulfillment. But the truth is that we are already whole. The moment we let go of our attachment to the external world, we find that inner peace is always available to us, just as the oasis was always waiting for the traveler. In the Taoist tradition, Lao Tzu speaks of this in his teachings. He writes, "If you want to be given everything, give everything up." This is the profound paradox. When we are full of our own desires, when we are overflowing with attachment, there is no space for anything else to enter. But when we empty ourselves of desire, when we stop grasping, we create a space that is wide open for the universe to fill. And what it fills us with is not just what we need, but often far more than we could have imagined. This idea is echoed in many spiritual paths. In the Christian mystical tradition, Meister Eckhart, a 14th century theologian, expressed a similar sentiment. To be full of things is to be empty of God. To be empty of things is to be full of God. These words suggest that by letting go of our attachment to material desires and external validations, we open ourselves to a deeper connection with the divine. Whether you call it God, the universe, or the source, this connection is what nourishes us on a soul level. It is not in the accumulation of things that we find peace, but in the surrender of our need to possess or control. Visualizing this concept, imagine standing in front of a vast open field. No fences, no barriers, just endless space. You are free to move, to explore, to be without the constraints of desire or expectation. In this boundless space, you are both free and full. Not because you have more, but because you have released the weight of wanting. In this space, life begins to meet you where you are. bringing what you need without struggle or effort. Just as the traveler found the oasis when they let go, we too can find our path to abundance when we stop running, when we stop reaching for what is not meant for us, and instead surrender to the flow of life. In exploring the wisdom of surrender and non-attachment, we begin to see how this truth is not confined to any single culture or tradition. The concept of needing nothing and finding everything in return is a universal truth woven through the teachings of many great mystics and spiritual philosophers throughout time. Lao Tzu's words from the Tao Te Ching remind us, "If you want to be given everything, give everything up." This is the path of detachment, of emptying oneself in order to receive the fullness of life. The beauty of this teaching is that it isn't just a theory, it's a lived experience. In Taoism, this concept is known as Wu Wei, or effortless action. It's not about striving or struggling. Rather, it's about allowing the universe to work through you, about aligning with the flow of life rather than fighting against it. When you stop forcing things to happen and release the need to control every outcome, you enter into a state of grace where life unfolds naturally. Lao Tzu teaches us that we don't need to force abundance into our lives. By surrendering to the flow, it will come to us effortlessly, just as the traveler in the desert found the oasis only when they stopped running after it. In the Sufi tradition, this wisdom is echoed by the poet Rumi, who speaks of the dance between longing and surrender. He writes, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." Here, Rumi points to the subtle truth that our desires, when they are aligned with our true nature, are not something we need to chase. Instead, they are part of the greater pull of life, drawing us gently toward the path we are meant to follow. When we stop clinging to what we think we need, we open ourselves to the possibility that life is guiding us to exactly where we need to be, and what is meant for us will come naturally. The mystics of many traditions have understood this truth. In Christian mysticism, Meister Eckhart speaks of the necessity of emptying ourselves to receive the divine. He wrote, "The more we have of the world, the less we have of God, and the less we have of the world, the more we have of God." This is a call to release our attachment to external things, whether it's material possessions, relationships, or the constant striving for more, so that we may be filled with something greater, something more sustaining. The emptiness is not a lack. It is a space that allows for the divine to enter, for the universe to flow freely in and through us. Even in the teachings of the Buddha, we find the same core wisdom. The Buddha said, "The root of suffering is attachment." He understood that our attachment to things, people, and even to our own ideas of how life should unfold is what binds us to suffering. When we release our attachment, we no longer suffer because we no longer grasp at what is fleeting. We become free to simply be, to flow with life without resistance. These teachings, though they come from different traditions, are all pointing to the same truth. By letting go, by needing nothing, we align ourselves with the flow of life and the abundance that is always available to us. The more we release, the more we receive. Not just material things, but the deeper, more lasting gifts of peace, wisdom, and love. It is in our willingness to empty ourselves that we create the space for life to fill us with everything we truly need. As you reflect on these teachings, ask yourself, what am I holding on to that I no longer need? What am I clinging to in my life that may be preventing me from receiving the abundance that is already available to me? Allow yourself the freedom to release, to open up the spaces in your life where the universe can step in and fill you with what you truly need. Now that we've explored the wisdom of surrender and non-attachment, let us delve deeper into a profound concept, the void. This may seem like an abstract or even unsettling idea at first, We often view the void as something empty, as a place of nothingness. But in spiritual teachings, the void is not something to be feared. It is the very womb of creation, the space from which everything arises. It is the sacred emptiness that holds infinite possibility. And it is in this emptiness, in this stillness, that all of life is born. In many mystical traditions, the void is seen as a sacred space, a place of potentiality where the seeds of creation are planted. In Taoism, it is referred to as the eternal Tao, the underlying force that flows through everything in existence. Lao Tzu writes, "The Tao is like a well, used but never used up. It is like the eternal void filled with infinite possibilities." Here, Lao Tzu reminds us that the void is not a lack or a deficiency, but a source of boundless potential. It is the place where everything begins and where everything is constantly being renewed. When we allow ourselves to enter this space of emptiness, we align with the natural rhythm of the universe. It is only when we stop trying to control every aspect of our lives, when we let go of our need to fill every moment with activity, that we create the space for the universe to step in and guide us. The void is the place where true creativity flows, where inspiration, opportunities, and insights arise without effort. It is the place of surrender, where we can allow life to unfold naturally. The Sufi mystic Rumi often spoke of the power of emptiness, of the sacred void that holds all possibility. In one of his most famous poems, he says, "Don't grieve. Anything you lose comes round in new form." Rumi reminds us that the void is not something to mourn. It is a place of transformation. What we lose or let go of in one moment is not lost forever. It is simply making room for something new to arise. The void is where this transformation happens. It is a space of constant renewal, of constant creation. In Western philosophy, the concept of the void has also been explored. In ancient Greek philosophy, the philosopher Heraclitus taught that everything is in a constant state of flux, that the world is always changing, always in motion. This change happens in the space of the void, the place where the old makes way for the new. When we release our attachment to the past, to what we think should be, we create the conditions for something new to emerge. This is the power of the void. It is the eternal source of creation, the place where we can shed the old and embrace the new. In the Christian mystical tradition, the concept of emptiness is often linked to the idea of spiritual surrender and humility. Meister Eckhart, a 14th century theologian, spoke of the need to empty oneself in order to receive the fullness of God. He said, "The soul is like a mirror, which reflects the divine light only when it is free of the fog of desire. The fog of desire is what keeps us from seeing the truth, from experiencing the divine flow of life. When we empty ourselves, when we release our attachment to worldly things, we make room for the light of the divine to enter. The void becomes the vessel that holds the divine, the space where creation and transformation can occur." And in the teachings of Buddha, the void is often referred to as shunyata, the emptiness that is not empty at all, but filled with the potential for all things. This emptiness is not a void of nothingness, but a space teeming with possibility where the true nature of existence can be realized. Buddha teaches that by seeing the world as empty of fixed, unchanging essence, we are free to experience the world as it truly is, fluid, impermanent, and ever-changing. In this emptiness, we find true freedom. We find the space to create, to transform, and to awaken. As we reflect on these teachings, let us remember that the void is not a place of lack, but a place of infinite potential. It is in the void that we find everything we need. It is the space that allows for growth, for change, for new beginnings. Just as the traveler in the desert found the oasis only when they let go of their desire, We too find the abundance of life when we allow ourselves to enter the void, the sacred space where everything can emerge. Now that we've explored the power of the void, the space where all things arise, let us turn our attention to the next step in this journey. What happens when we move through the world once we've created that space within ourselves? What happens when we stop forcing, when we stop striving, and when we simply flow with life as it unfolds? This is the essence of effortless action, a concept that has been explored in many spiritual traditions. In Taoism, this is known as Wu Wei, or the art of non-action. But non-action is not the absence of action. It is the action that comes from a place of alignment, of flowing with the natural rhythm of life. It is the opposite of forcing or struggling. It is action that arises spontaneously, effortlessly, without the need for control. When we talk about effortless action, we are not referring to passivity or inaction. Rather, we are talking about the ability to act with grace, to respond to life as it comes without trying to impose our will on the world. It is about trusting the flow of life and allowing ourselves to be guided by that flow. When we are in this state of alignment, we act not out of fear or desperation, but out of a deep sense of trust that everything is unfolding as it should. Lao Tzu speaks about this concept in the Tao Te Ching, where he says, "The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone." This is the profound wisdom of Wu Wei. The Tao, the flow of the universe, does not force anything. It simply flows. And in that flowing, everything is accomplished. When we align ourselves with this natural flow, we too become instruments of effortless action. We no longer need to force things to happen because we are in harmony with the universe, moving in the same direction as the current of life. Rumi too understood this truth. He writes, "Don't move the way that fear makes you move. Move the way love makes you move." In these words, Rumi is pointing to the energy of trust. Fear is what makes us grasp, struggle, and fight against the current. Love, on the other hand, is what allows us to surrender, to trust the flow, and to move in harmony with life. When we trust the flow of life, when we move from a place of love rather than fear, everything falls into place effortlessly. This is not to say that challenges will not arise. It does not mean that we will never face difficulties or obstacles. But it does mean that when we are in a state of alignment, when we are flowing with life rather than struggling against it, we can meet those challenges with grace. We approach each moment with calmness and clarity, knowing that we are not alone, that the universe is supporting us every step of the way. This is the magic of surrender. It is not about avoiding life's difficulties, but about approaching them with a sense of trust, knowing that everything is happening for our highest good. In the Christian mystical tradition, Meister Eckhart speaks of this trust when he says, "Let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray." These words echo the idea that when we follow what feels true to our hearts, when we trust in the natural unfolding of life, we are guided to where we need to be. We may not always understand why things are happening, but we can trust that the universe is always working in our favor. When we release our need to control every outcome and instead allow ourselves to flow with life, we find that the doors we need to open effortlessly. Opportunities arise, synchronicities unfold, and we begin to move through the world with a sense of ease and grace. We become like a river flowing around obstacles, finding the path of least resistance, and ultimately reaching the sea of our own fulfillment. As we near the end of this journey, it is important to take a moment to reflect on the wisdom we have explored. Now we move from understanding to integration. How can we apply these teachings in our own lives? What does it look like to embrace the paradox of needing nothing? to allow ourselves to flow with life, and to trust that everything we need will come when we release our attachment to it. I invite you now to settle into a comfortable position, to close your eyes if you feel called, and to bring your awareness inward. In this quiet space, I want you to reflect on these questions. Let them resonate in your heart and mind. We begin with the first. What is it that I am holding on to right now? Think for a moment about the things you may be clinging to, the desires, the expectations, the outcomes that you have been desperately chasing. Perhaps there is something you want so badly that it has consumed your thoughts, taking up space in your heart. Maybe it's a person, a dream, a possession, or a sense of control. Whatever it is, notice it without judgment, simply acknowledging it as part of your experience. Now ask yourself, what would happen if I let this go? Visualize yourself gently releasing whatever it is that you are holding on to. Picture it as a light, like a leaf on the wind, floating away. What does it feel like to let go? Can you sense a deepening of peace, a relaxation in your body and mind as you release the weight of wanting? Take a few breaths here, allowing yourself to feel the relief that comes with letting go of the burden of attachment. Notice how in this moment of surrender, you are creating space within yourself. Space for peace, for love, for creativity, for abundance. Now let's move to the next reflection. What am I ready to receive? In releasing our attachment, we make room for something new. When we empty our cup, it becomes ready to be filled. Ask yourself, what am I inviting into my life right now? What is it that I truly need? Whether it be peace, love, clarity, guidance, or even physical nourishment, allow yourself to visualize the things you wish to receive. What does it feel like to open your heart to those things? In this moment, understand that the universe is always offering us exactly what we need. When we are open, when we stop chasing and allow ourselves to be still, the abundance of life flows freely into our hands. Trust that what is meant for you will find its way to you. Let this be your truth. Finally, let's ask the most important question. How can I move forward with more trust in the flow of life? Take a moment to reflect on how you can begin to trust more deeply in the unfolding of your life. Perhaps there are areas where you've been trying to control the outcome, areas where you've been pushing and striving. Ask yourself, how can you move forward with more ease, with more acceptance, allowing life to guide you rather than resisting? Feel the deep trust that you are exactly where you need to be. In this stillness, in this moment, know that you are aligned with the universe's flow. The path before you is clear, not because you forced it, but because you have surrendered to it. Take a deep breath now, and as you inhale, feel a sense of peace entering your body. As you exhale, release any remaining tension or worry. You are enough just as you are. You have everything you need in this moment. Let that truth settle in deep within your being. When you are ready, gently bring your awareness back to the present moment. Feel the ground beneath you, the air around you, and know that the world is unfolding perfectly, just as it should. As we come to the end of our time together, let us return to the central message. By needing nothing, we attract everything. This is not a contradiction. It is a truth woven into the fabric of the universe. When we stop seeking, when we release the endless striving and the attachment to external outcomes, we open ourselves to the infinite abundance that the universe is always ready to give. It is in the act of letting go, of surrendering, that we create the space for life to fill us with everything we need. What we desire, what we long for, is not something outside of us. It is something that flows naturally to us when we align with the flow of the universe. You may wonder, how do we begin to live this truth in our everyday lives? The answer is simple: through presence, through trust, through acceptance. By staying present in the moment, by trusting the process, and by accepting what is without resistance, we allow ourselves to flow effortlessly through life. This is not about passivity, but about active participation in the universe's unfolding. It is not about doing nothing. It is about doing from a place of peace, from a place of wholeness, from a place of alignment with what is. Remember the words of Lao Tzu, who taught us that the Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone. This is the state of effortless action. When we release our attachment to the outcome and simply act from a place of trust, we allow life to guide us. The universe moves through us, and our actions become aligned with the flow of existence. In the moments of stillness, we find the answers we seek. When we release the need to control, we discover that we are not lost, but right where we need to be. In the void of emptiness, we find everything. And when we stop chasing, we find that life has already been bringing us exactly what we need all along. So as you move forward from this space, carry with you the understanding that you are whole, you are enough, and you have everything you need within you. The universe is not outside of you. It is within you. By letting go of the need to control, to force, to chase, you align yourself with the natural flow of life and allow all that you desire to come to you effortlessly. In this surrender, you will find peace, fulfillment, and abundance. Take a final deep breath now and let that truth settle deeply into your being. By needing nothing, you attract everything. Thank you for taking this journey with me. May you walk forward in trust, in surrender, and in alignment with the flow of life. And may you always remember that the universe has everything you need, waiting for you to open your heart and allow it in.